All right, ready to go. Are we live? Well, the Wandering Canucks are off on their first adventure in the year of 2022. And we thought that this would be a good time for us to review some of the changes in travel documents, because if you have not traveled for the last year and a half, there are some significant changes. It used to be that if you had this and you had a boarding pass, you could basically go anywhere in Canada or the world and there'd be no questions asked. However, now you can't even get on a domestic flight without having proof of vaccination. Now, it used to be you could get by with a little card like this that showed your vaccination status, but with all the different jurisdictions, they thought that was too confusing, too many documents, so now you have to have a QR code. So this is what the Alberta government has issued for our QR codes, and you do need to have proof of your vaccination to get onto an airplane, both domestically or internationally. The other thing that you now need to have, which we did not used to have before, was proof of a COVID test. And you'll have to pay attention to what your airline says and what the country you are going to says for requirements. In the US, it is just a COVID test. That could be PCR or it could be rapid antigen. If you're going onwards and transiting through other countries, make sure you know what all the requirements are for the country's en route and at your final destination. You may get lucky and be able to do one test that would satisfy requirements for both. So we did a rapid antigen test. Now, if you're going into the US, it has to be done within 1 day of boarding the flight. So if you're boarding the flight on Tuesday, the test has to be done and completed on Monday, and obviously you need a negative result. Going on to other countries, be very aware of what the requirements are. Some countries, you need to have that test done within 3 days of arrival. Other countries are 5 days of arrival. So if you have a travel agent, pay attention to what they tell you. If you have access to websites for the different countries, pay attention to those. I have found the airlines extremely helpful in making sure we know what the requirements are, what we have to do, and what the deadlines are. The other thing that we're having to do now with some of the countries we travel into is get a travel authorization from the country that we are going to be visiting. Pay attention again to deadlines, because some of them you can only submit within so many days of arrival. Others you have to submit by 5 days before you depart. So pay attention to deadlines. This is complex. It is important. If you miss these deadlines, you may not be allowed to get into the country of your choosing. The other thing that is a necessary thing is make sure you have your travel insurance documents with you. And I think in this day and age, it's very important to check and make sure that you have coverage for COVID, because some travel agents are not covering COVID. Then also look and make sure that you have repatriation, repatriation if you need to while you get sick overseas. But all different documents that you need to pay attention to. Now, we've also found that if certain airlines have an online app, this one is Verify with American Airlines. And what we have found with this is you can put all your documentation in it, and then you're given green check marks. So when you actually go to check in, all you have to do is show them your Verify green check marks, and then they do not need to check all your documents. I think it's very wise that you keep the paper documents as well as having electronic documents. And to make it easy, what I have started to do is put all our documents together into a page protector, one per person. And what I do is organize it so that we have the most vital things that we need on the top or on the back. So when I put it in the sleeve, I have our antigen test on the one side, I have our vaccine status on the other side. We don't need our travel authorization for the other country just yet, so it's tucked there in the middle, but those are all the documents we need. Now, it goes without saying as well that if you qualify for a nice Nexus card, global entry, it does make a difference going through some of the lines for security, entering and departing countries. So if you haven't thought about getting the Nexus card and you are going to be doing some traveling, I think it's really worthwhile. So I'm hoping that you're going to find that this is a helpful video. Do pay attention to deadlines for sure. Check out our other videos on the Wondering Canucks YouTube channel. Give us a like if you found this helpful, and definitely subscribe and pass this on to your friends. Signing out on our first adventure. Let's see what misadventures we can report to you in the next little while. Adios.